Kristen. First of all, good evening, everyone. My name is Bob Gillen, and I'm the Northern Plains District Girls and Women's Section Rep. And I want to welcome you to tonight's Northern Plains District Player Development webinar put on by your USA Hockey female ADM staff. I hope your summer has been going well, and we're slowly getting back to some normalcy here after the COVID-19 pandemic. And while we had that COVID-19 virus going on, obviously our district camp in the Northern Plains, as well as our national player development camps and our national championships were all canceled due to that. So the webinar tonight hopefully will give you some information focusing on more of your hockey development, some physical development, and some nutrition and health habits that you can maybe use if you haven't already up until the season begins. Hopefully we'll get back into action here August, September, but if not, there's some great things that you'll hear from our presenters that will focus on those areas and some other opportunities that will be coming down the highway for you guys that you can look forward to trying to further move and advance your hockey careers. I also know Greg Evenson's on the call tonight. He's the outgoing president of North Dakota Amateur Hockey. He's also one of our 2 district directors for the Northern Plains District out of North Dakota on the call, and he was helpful in getting a lot of this information sent out for the webinar. And he's also our camp director for our annual Northern Plains District camp that's held each spring. So Greg, if you want to say anything before we move ahead, certainly thank you for everything and welcome, and thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you. I would like to say, just as someone that's been a part of the district for 13 years, and one of our initial plans when we started this district was to try to build a strong player development program. We knew the 4 states, we needed that if we were going to be able to go to national camps and do other things, and we have made that happen, but really because of Kristen and Heather now and Bob, our leadership really does know that we put a lot of effort into becoming a strong player development program, and we've been able to have events like this, and we really appreciate what the 3 of you are doing and have done, and hopefully will continue to do, and we really like the partnership of working with you guys with our girls player development program. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. A couple others are on the call. I don't know if Dwayne Dillinger's on, but he's our district director out of Wyoming. He also just got voted in as a vice president on the USA Hockey Executive Committee, so it's exciting for our little district to have Dwayne on that executive council. And if he's on, I think Mike McIntosh might be on. He's the president of Montana Hockey. And then my girls directors that each of you know in your states, Any Pet Shower from Montana. So one of my state directors, Shelby Edwards out of South Dakota. And then Tisha Lee's just retired after 20 years of running Wyoming girls hockey. So Josh DeBard is stepping into her shoes, and I've already been working with him the last couple of weeks. So we're welcoming Josh in. And then Grant Paranika handles our girls in North Dakota. So with that, I'm excited to introduce Kristen Wright and Heather Mannix, who, like I said, are our USA Hockey ADM managers for female hockey at USA Hockey. And also they oversee the girls player development camps for all 12 districts of USA Hockey. And Kristen's been to our Northern Plains camp a number of times and has been active with our camp. So she's been there and kind of seen how we do things and has worked with a lot of you on the call. So Kristen, thank you again for setting this up, and we're looking forward to what you and Heather have to share with us. And thank you for everyone being on tonight. Kristen, it's all yours.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Greg. Heather and I are really excited to be here. I've been able to get out to your player development camps, both at the state level and at the district level. And you guys do absolutely offer a wonderful program for your players. So for all of those of you on here that are players or parents, know that you are getting great programming at the state and district level for your girls players at the ages that we're talking about here with the 14s, 15s, 16s, and 17s. And so I'm gonna start by sharing my screen so you guys can see this PowerPoint. And so with that, the first thing we want to talk about, we want to hear a little bit from all of you as players about your hockey related goals. So I know you guys can either unmute and tell us, or you can put it right in the chat function at the bottom of your screen. Tell us one hockey related goal that you have that you'd like to accomplish. And it can be a short term, what you want to do this season during the off season, or even long term, what you might be looking forward to doing. All right, we've got a couple coming in now. That's great. Become faster. We get that one all the time. We'll definitely get to that. Play college hockey. We're also going to talk a little bit about those opportunities tonight. To play Division I hockey. Great. So let's look a little bit about some of those opportunities. So we have a lot of opportunities in women's hockey, whether it's playing or working in hockey. You got two examples here with Heather and I of two people who are very lucky to work in hockey, but at the same time, we offer national team programming at the U18 level, the U22 level, and then of course our senior women's national team that plays in world championships and also goes to the Olympics. With our U18 program, I know Bob already mentioned that unfortunately, due to COVID, we'd had to cancel all of our U18 programming this spring and all of our U18 summer player development camps in St. Cloud. And at this time, the U18 World Championships that are in January, this season's World Championships, are still scheduled for January 2021. USA Hockey is still planning to evaluate players as kids are able to get back on the ice and start playing games in the fall so that we can pick the best roster to go to that World Championship. We've been going back and forth on opportunities to potentially have a very small U18 camp for evaluation purposes, but we haven't made any decisions on that. So as soon as we make any more decisions with those U18 team camps or pre-camps, or if anything gets changed, we will send out a press release. It will go on the player development website. So we just want to be transparent with all of you that we're also working with COVID and the unknowns as we try to make decisions for that U18 player pool that you guys are all a part of. And we know a lot of you missed the end of your seasons and missed opportunities with national camp, which is why we want to be here to talk to you and give you some of the information that we would have given at camp. The other really cool USA Hockey national team opportunity that we offer is the World University Games. So the World University Games are basically a mini Olympics for collegiate athletes that are hosted around the world. And we only offer those positions on that team to players in the ACHA. So we do have, the NCAA and we have the ACHA, but the World University team is only ACHA players. So it gives a whole nother group of players the opportunity to wear the USA Hockey crest. And it's a pretty cool experience. I was able to coach for two of those teams, and we've had a handful of players also be able to play on those. So that's just another opportunity we want you to be aware of. And then when we talk about the difference between the NCAA and the ACHA, right, we have 41 NCAA Division I teams. I see that a handful of you are putting in the chat that you want to play NCAA Division I college hockey. It's a great opportunity to play at the Division I level. They offer athletic scholarships at the majority of those NCAA Division I schools. We opt out with the Ivy League schools. But then we also offer the NCAA Division III programs, and there's 67 teams there. They don't offer athletic scholarships at NCAA Division III. That's the biggest difference from the financial standpoint. There is a lot of financial aid and academic money available at Division III, but the time commitment is also different. The season at the Division I level is longer. There's commitments out of the season for workouts and training compared to the Division III level, where you're going to have a little bit more flexibility, a little more opportunity to play multiple sports, is the biggest difference we see between that Division I commitment and that Division III commitment. And then we have the ACHA. So the ACHA is another division, and they're non-varsity. And that non-varsity means that they aren't in the NCAA. That's really all that means. It's just a different league, a different program. And we've seen tremendous growth with ACHA programs. You have an ACHA program in North Dakota. There's four in Colorado, one in Utah, one in Arizona, actually two. There's two in Arizona. So there's a ton of programs that offer collegiate women's hockey at the ACHA Division I level west of the Mississippi, which is very exciting because it gives you even more opportunities to play collegiate hockey. And then there's also Division II schools as well that offer that ACHA level play. And a lot of those ACHA teams are very competitive, and it's a high level of play. There's definitely overlap of kids who could play in the NCAA and kids who could play in the ACHA. And sometimes, especially with all of you, picking a program that's going to work for you, both location, academics, price point, hockey is a piece of all of that, but the other things are so important that we want you to know that you have almost 200 universities and colleges that you can choose from and continue to play hockey. And you see that across the Northern Plains district. So in this season's collegiate players, you have over 50 women playing collegiate hockey across those opportunities. You have 11 NCAA players, 24 NCAA Division III players, and then over 20 players playing in the ACHA, right? And those are coming from a variety of the 4 states that you all represent. And so those are kids that were just like you, that had the goal to play Division I, the goal to play college hockey. These are women that are playing this past season, right from the same states and localities as all of you. And I think it's important that you know that your goals are reachable, especially if you take some of the advice that Heather and I'll give you throughout the rest of this presentation about how to continue to develop as an athlete on and off the ice. And so the next thing we want to talk about, and again, you can speak up or you can put it in the chat. What do you think these Olympians what did they do to get to this point where they won a gold medal on the Olympic stage in Pyeongchang? And a very exciting shootout victory, I will say. Hope you all were able to watch it. What do you think they did to get to this high level of hockey? Marin, I really like that one. We haven't gotten that one before, but they started with a small goal, which is perfect. Heather, you're nodding too. You want to comment on that?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that a lot of times we get caught up on the big goals that may sometimes seem like they are, they're so big and they're so far away that they're not really achievable. It's always good to start small and reach those goals. I love that. We haven't ever seen that. I like that a lot.
Yep. Then we got never gave up, a lot of dedication. Yes, absolutely. Being dedicated to your goals, putting in that time and effort is so important. Not always easy, but hopefully still fun. I think hockey is one of the most fun sports by all means. They came together as a team. That team dynamic is important. And then working on their skills on and off the ice. So those are all the things that we talk about. Those characteristics of successful athletes are really their ability. Once we talk about, we hear this all the time, like, why did this kid make national camp instead of this kid? Why didn't I make the roster? What do I need to do? What's this magic formula to make the U18 team or become a Division I college athlete? And there isn't a magic formula, but it normally comes down to 2 major factors: the ability to keep up physically and mentally with the game, right? So we have to be able to think quick. We have to have a high compete level, but we also have to be able to keep up physically, right? Our feet have to move fast enough. Our hands have to be fast enough. Our release on our shot has to be quick enough. But our brain has to tell our hands to do that too. So that ability to keep up both physically and mentally is really what ends up separating those kids. It's as simple as that. Like I said, there's no magic formula, but how do you get quicker physically and mentally? Those are certain things that we can talk about. And the other things that come into play when we're looking at those athletes is who's going to be on their best behavior? Who's a good kid? Who wants to spend 2 weeks in Sweden with this player? Like we asked that question. I'm not going to lie to you. College coaches say, who do I want to spend 4 years with on our roster? Right? So you need to be a good kid. You need to be on your best behavior, have great manners, say thank you, all of those things, because that does matter. It's not a 1 weekend tournament for a day where, okay, fine, if you're a brat, it works, but it doesn't work over a tournament. It doesn't work over a college season. And then, of course, good habits. So I'm going to pass it over to Heather to talk a little bit about what are good habits and why do our athletes need them?
Yeah, thanks, Kristen. Having good habits is so incredibly important, especially if you want to continue to play at the highest levels. And so some of those things that we look for and we talk about when we talk about good habits are, what are you doing in practice, right? So simple things like, when a drill ends, or if you take a shot in a drill, do you just peel off and go to the end of the line, or do you stop and try to bury that puck? Are you giving your best effort on every single one of those shifts and every single chance that you have out there? Because at the end of the day, you can say things like, well, no, I only do this in practice. Well, over time, those was my dog. those habits actually, they transfer over into your game-like experience. And so if you are doing things in practice, you're going to end up doing them in games. And so we want to make sure that we're creating these good habits, these trying hard, these finishing every play, treating every play like it's a game in practice, because then those skills are going to transfer over to a game-like environment.
That's great, Heather. All great advice. And let's go back to Marin. She said start with a small goal. And it's so true, because to get to the place where those athletes got to winning a gold medal was a journey. And everyone's journey looks very different, whether you're playing on a youth team or a girls team at the younger ages, where you go to college, but also every day might look a little bit different. Like, people are going to have different setbacks and different successes. And so life really isn't the Colorado incline that I have there on the left, where you just one step at a time, we keep going up. We're going to be forced to learn a little bit. Those challenges, or some people call them failures, I prefer to call it learning, is going to happen. And so life's a little bit more like the zigzag on the right, or even Chutes and Ladders, because sometimes you go up and sometimes you slide down, but you gotta, you have to know that that's part of your journey to get better as a person and as a hockey player, and that it's okay that the journey looks like the ones on the right. And that is the journey. That's the fun part of the journey too. That challenge, that trying hard to get to the next level is a piece of, your development as a hockey player. And so just keep that in mind, that it is hard to not compare yourself to your teammate next to you, to your friends in other sports, to when people might be getting phone calls from colleges or not, that you have your own journey, and that's okay, because you get to make those types of decisions for what's best for you. As as a lot of you put, you want to play college hockey in your goals, that's going to look different for all of you. The level of play, the school, all of those types of things. So on that journey, we want you to know that we want you at this age to start taking responsibility for your own development. You're going to have coaches and parents and teammates along the way to help you on your journey, but a lot of you said it took a lot of dedication and time for those athletes to get to their highest goals. And so they did that on their own too, that self-motivation piece. So with that, a piece of it is, what are you doing when no one else is watching? And Heather and I really think that coronavirus time, COVID time, has been a great example of how are you self-motivating when you're at home, when you didn't have the ability to go to a gym or go to the ice rink, to have other people necessarily help you get up in the morning and get that workout in. Trust us, it's the same for adults. We are our adult athletes, everyone's trying to figure out a way to motivate, but when nobody else is watching, are you still getting up and doing your workout? Are you still working on your skills? Because that's what it does take, especially during the off season, when that's what we want you working on. And so we want you to learn how to be a good teammate. And so I'm going to shoot this over to Shelby. Shelby Edwards is one of our girls directors. Can you talk a little bit about what it takes for our athletes to be a good teammate?
I think for me, one of the biggest things that we kind of talk about with my program is, I don't really like the word sacrifice, but play for the people around you. It's not fun to be on a team with somebody who's selfish and complaining if, well, that assist was mine and it went to this person. Be able to celebrate victories that your teammates have. Maybe it's as small as somebody doesn't get to play on the varsity team a lot and they finally get in, and maybe they took a shift away from you, but you should be excited for them because they're getting that experience. And just positive. It's okay to, be down sometimes, or, if you have a bad player, if somebody else does, coach's responsibility to be the coach. So try to take that away from it. You're not a coach, just be a good teammate, encourage your teammates, and be proud of the success of your whole team, not just your individual accomplishments.
That's great advice, Shelby. Really, really helpful for kids to hear. The other piece is learning how to be coachable. So, I'll talk about that one a little bit. I think it's important that, you listen to your coaches. They're there to help you. I think that can be hard to remember, that the people around you, coaches, parents, teammates, are there to help you get better and reach your goals. And so sometimes they might say things that you don't want to hear, that constructive criticism, or again, asking tough questions about what happened on that last shift, that I passed it right to the other team. That's what happened. And that's okay. It does happen. The game is a series of mistakes in that way. And so just being willing to say, thank you, coach. Yes, coach, and take it all in, and then apply what you can back to your game. I think that's one of the hardest things for players to learn, is to just take that feedback and not respond with the, I know, coach, we've all said it. We've all, I know. Well, okay, well, let's get past that and be like, okay, next time I'll do X, Y, or Z. Is a huge part of being coachable. And then another piece is building your confidence. So I'm going to pass this one over to Heather to talk about what all of you can do to build your confidence as youth athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of my most favorite things to talk about, because it makes such a huge impact on your physical performance. And so a lot of times we think about, what do we need to do to physically get better, when we kind of, take the mental side and push it off to the side. And so one of the biggest things that you can do to build your confidence is to think about what it is that you're saying to yourself in each one of these games, or on the ice, off the ice. What is your self-talk? A lot of times, Kristen always used the example, if your thoughts were on a loudspeaker, what would people think about what you're saying to yourself? Is it that, like, all right, you got this, go get it, girl, like, you got this next one? Or are you beating yourself up? And a lot of times, some of the things that we say to ourselves is way harsher than something that anybody would ever say to us. And so it's hugely, hugely important, even when you make mistakes, and especially when you make mistakes. It's not, oh my God, that was so stupid, why did I do that? It's becoming coachable, listening to that feedback, and then starting to integrate, okay, next time I'm going to do this. And so you take this negative thing and turn it into a positive thing. That's, over time, you're going to continue to build your confidence that way.
Thank you, Heather. It's a huge piece of everyone's game. And another piece that comes with building confidence is making decisions. We talk about hockey sense. We say you have to think the game quickly, but we also, with that comes your need to make decisions about what's going to happen on the ice, right? When you're out there for your shift and that you have the puck on your stick, what are you going to do with it? And start thinking about the game in that way. What options do I have? Should I keep it? Should I protect it? Do I need to make a pass? Should I shoot it? And one of the best ways right now, when we're not able to be on the ice playing games as much as we'd like to, is to watch hockey. There's a lot of hockey available of our women's national team, of the NHL, where you can watch hockey. And what I like to do as a game, especially at your age, is pause it. Like, if you're, you want to know what your favorite player is about to do. So pause the TV, pause the phone, and guess. Oh, I think they're going to do a spinorama, and then pass to their D partner, and then hit play and see what they saw. What openings were there that made you think that? And then what play did they actually make? So that it's not just watching the game, it's starting to anticipate what's going to happen in the game based on what you see, right? What openings are there? What space do I have? Where are my teammates? All of those things that are so important for our hockey players to be able to do on their own while the game is going super fast, right? So any way you can get ahead of it and start helping your brain make those decisions will only help you get better. And then the last piece is picking the best program for your development. And, that's both for at the youth level and at the collegiate level. At the youth level, really looking at what is the program about? What is it providing to you as an athlete? Is it giving you a lot of really great developmental practices? Are you getting a lot of puck touches? Are you getting to play small area games? Are you getting to make decisions and drills during practice? Are you getting ice time during games? Like, we could all put that in quotes, we can all play on the best team, But if you're a fourth line kid and you never get to touch the puck, you're not going to get better in games either. So really picking the program that's going to support you and your goals as an athlete. But it doesn't always have to be the best team. Definitely doesn't have to be the farthest team away by any means. I always say pick the rink closest to your house and get on the ice as much as you can for practice. And that's going to make huge strides with your development. Shelby, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, being from the district, or Bob, on, picking the best program at either the youth or the collegiate level for them?
You want to go first, Bob, or you want me to? I can't hear him. Can anybody else?
I did not hear Bob.
Shelby.
There we are.
I just think kind of like what Kristen talked about earlier with the different levels of play. So I'll go collegiate first, I guess. I think a lot of the girls kind of that I talk to have, like, the ACHA has this bad rap that, like, you weren't good enough to make an NCAA team. I think it's really important to get away from that stigma, because they're, like Kristen said, maybe you did get recruited to a Division III team or Division I, but you're the 20th freshman that they recruited, and then you have to have a tryout when you get there, and you maybe don't end up making the team, or you're sitting in the bleachers every weekend. And you probably would have gotten a better playing opportunity, maybe going to an ACHA Division I. They can offer scholarships too, and you might be on the ice every weekend. And I think for a smaller district like ours, a lot of kids always think, I need to leave South Dakota, or I need to leave Wyoming or Montana or North Dakota because we're not good enough here and I need to be seen. And I've coached girls that have left, and it was one of the best things they ever could have done. And I've also coached girls that left and practiced 2 days a week and sat on the bench every weekend. And then when they came back, their development had gone significantly downhill, and they weren't able to reach those goals that they wanted. So just look into everything. Make sure, if you are thinking about moving programs, always build a relationship with the coach, because that's going to be someone who's going to be very influential in your decision making, and hopefully they're truthful with you and your parents as you kind of go through that process.
And I'll just follow up with that, and that's good advice, Shelby, is just make sure you, obviously when you get recruited, you're going to be, getting asked a lot of questions and given a lot of information. And sometimes they may tell you some things that might not pan out, but, you also need to be interviewing them and making sure that you have all your questions and all the unknowns answered as well. And some of it comes down to, again, how many defense do you have returning, how many forwards, how many goalies, depending on the position you are, and see, do you need a left-handed defenseman, right-handed defenseman? You need a playmaking defenseman, need a stay-at-home defenseman. Just ask those questions and find out if they really need your fit there. And then if you also are very concerned about the education, talk to, someone in the school other than the hockey staff, and find out about the academics and any programs they have for the degree that you want to go into. And just make sure you do your homework as well. I think our little district sometimes, when I go to America Showcase with our district team, sometimes you have people come up and maybe that's the first time, one of our players has been talked to, and they get all excited. And we try to tell them, don't commit to anything. It's great that they talk to you, but you know what? They're a phone call away. Go home, talk to your parents, and see what else is out there. Don't commit to the first one that comes, because there might be other people and maybe a program that's better for you, a school that's better for you, and you didn't give them the chance because you got so excited and said yes right away. And the last thing I want to add that Shelby hit on is you do not have to leave. And I know we're a small district, and sometimes high school hockey takes a bad rap, but Britta Curl from Bismarck, North Dakota is a prime example that I'll share with you. And a lot of you have been in the district camp, know her, and she's been on one of our gold medal U18 teams. She stayed at Bismarck High School, a 23-game season all the way through her senior year, and look where she's went on to achieve. And so you can stay home, you can stay at your local high school. Some do need to leave, and there are opportunities when leaving is good. But we also have a lot of girls that have left and now have come back and returned to their local U19 or high school team as well. And some of it, again, was they didn't get to play, the school wasn't good, didn't like their teammates, didn't like the coach, and now they're back where they were, and they could have probably stayed the whole time and been farther along. So, certain players, yes, it's time, when it's time to leave, it's good to leave, but also you can stay through your U19 and high school seasons and advance on to high levels and to our women's national team out of our districts. I just want to, Britta Curl's a real prime example of that, a last player that I know of from our district to do that. So thanks,
Yeah,
Kristen.
Yeah, Bob, she's a great example, and she was patient too. I mean, she'd been to national camp and not made the U18 roster twice. Twice was in, that group of players with the same goals. And it was her third year of U18 eligibility that she made the team and was a absolute game changer. Really helped us win. Like, she was a force in why we won a gold medal at the U18s her last year when she was on that roster. And so that patience factor is so important, because not every U18 national team player becomes an Olympian. And we're actually really excited. We're going to switch gears a little bit. We're really excited because we do have an Olympian on the call with us tonight. Emily Pfalzer is here, and we're super happy to have you, Emily. Been involved with our women's national team program for a long time now. Seen a lot of success at the Olympic level and, of course, at the World Championship level. So just wanted you to talk to the girls on the call about what you've been doing, especially off ice during these COVID times, and also any other advice you want to share with them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's definitely been crazy. I'm in Florida, so we're having like 10,000 cases a day, so trying to stay home. I've been skating. I try to get on the ice when I can, and we kind of created a home gym here, and we've had some national team workouts on Zoom, which is pretty funny, all over the country working out together. But a little background on me: I'm from Buffalo, New York. I grew up playing for Amherst and then the Buffalo Bisons. Went to Nichols School. It's a high school in Buffalo, and then played at Boston College and was able to go to school with my brother there. He was a senior when I was a freshman, so that was fun. And then that's when my senior year, I made my first national team. And then went to the 2018 Olympics, and now still playing with the PWHPA and still with the national team, and yeah.
That's awesome, Emily. What have you guys been doing for your workouts? Like, anything specific that the girls could take from what you guys do off the ice that they might be able to do at home?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think everyone's situation is a little different. I know we went out and bought some dumbbells right away when all this was starting, but then noticed everyone was sold out. So just whatever you can do. I know there's a lot of people. We've actually my trainer from home has been doing things on his Instagram, and so we were able to do a lot of workouts online, and someone just kind of coaching you through it, and using a lot of bands, and stick handling at home, just kind of doing what you can to stay in shape.
Absolutely. Yeah, all those little things definitely add up, especially when normally you guys would be on the ice at this point. We talked to them a little bit about what it takes to be a good teammate. Do you have any advice for them on that?
Yeah, I think especially when you're in high school, you're so worried about impressing people to get to the next level. And I think that one thing that I've always, I guess, just learned was that when you help your teammate out, you're helping yourself out. When you're helping your teammate get better, you're going to compete and get better too. And I think being a good teammate, that's like one of the most important things that that you could really have as a person. And I think not only will it help you in hockey, but it'll help you beyond that.
That's great. And so if any of the girls on the call have questions, you can unmute and ask Emily a question, or you can put questions in the chat. We can get those over to her as she sees them. Our staff might ask you a couple more questions too.
Yeah, I have one for you, Emily. We talked a little bit about the importance of confidence with these young girls. Do you have any things that you do to help boost your confidence, or if you ever went through a challenging time, what were some of the things that you did to work on increasing your confidence?
Yeah, I mean, confidence is huge. The mental game is so important. And I think just, I think I struggled early on with making a mistake and kind of just thinking about it too much. And then I had a coach tell me, just change the channel, just go to a new channel. And I think that really helped me, and kind of putting things in perspective. Like, you're playing a game that you love, and you're going to make a mistake. The game is full of mistakes, and just try your hardest. And it sounds simple, but I think that really helped me.
That's an awesome answer.
Yeah, I love the change the channel one. There's always those little things that
Yeah.
that help that you just need to hear. So Margot Katzman asked, what is something you did in high school or later that gave you an advantage to further your career?
I think, I mean, honestly, just working hard, and never let anyone tell you you can't do something. There's always going to be either, whether it's yourself, a voice in the back of your head, or someone thinking you can't make it to the next level. I think just proving them wrong, and just keep working.
It's great advice. I love the don't let anyone tell you can't do it. Like, and you got to be your biggest advocate on that.
Yeah,
We
definitely.
talked a little bit about the goals that they might have. A lot of them had goals to play in college hockey, Division I hockey. And when you were playing at Nichols, what was your experience like? What did you do to navigate the, like, picking a college and getting talked to by colleges?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I kind of knew, my brother went to BC, and I loved the school. So I think for me, it was, it was just the right fit for me. I wanted to I wanted to go to a great school academically and hockey wise. And for me, it was the perfect fit. And I loved it there. I wish I could go back, and time flies, and I wish I could just keep reliving those 4 years. But yeah, I guess just making sure it's the right fit. Don't feel pressured. And if you need to take time, you might see other people committing, but don't feel that, do what's right for you.
And then we've got a couple questions in the chat. One is, did you always play for a girls team?
I grew up playing with boys. So I think I switched when I was maybe in 7th or 8th grade, but I mean, back then it was different. Now there's so many girls programs, and it's so awesome to see the growth of women's hockey. And if I have a daughter one day, I'm so excited for her to be able to go on a team and play with girls and not have to get dressed in a separate locker room. So I did play with boys, but it's awesome to see the growth of the women's side.
Yeah, Heather, do you want to touch a little bit on playing youth or girls hockey at this age?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things that you can think about is not necessarily, is it, you know, should I play for boys? Am I going to get better if I play on a youth team, or, you know, can I stay with girls? It's really what it comes down to is, you know, what association or what team is going to provide the best development opportunity for you. And so Kristen touched on it a little bit. You know, you have to look at, you know, the environment that each one of those clubs are creating. Look at their practices and see, I mean, are you using small area games? Are they using station-based, you know, practices? Are they getting a whole lot of touches on the puck, or is there a lot of standing in lines? You know, are there times that you can, I mean, you want to put yourself in a situation where you are constantly making decisions in practice, because at the end of the day, if you're put in those situations, in those environments, if you can make those decisions in a practice environment, you're going to be much better to make those decisions in a game environment. And so a lot of times, if you have clubs or associations that do a lot of, you know, like pre-described patterns and flow drills where you don't really get to make a whole lot of decisions on the ice, then it's going to be a whole lot harder for you to make those quick decisions in a game when you're under pressure and there's conflict and there's always somebody that's right on your heels. So I would look at it less of, you know, should I play youth or should I play girls, and look at what is going to provide me the best development opportunity.
Thanks, Heather. Emily, got 2 more in the chat for you. What was your biggest struggle during your high school hockey career?
Oh man, that was so long ago. I'm not sure. I feel like maybe confidence wise, kind of learning how to navigate that. I think so. I played U18s my first year. I feel like I really noticed a difference between, I made it when I was 17 and then 18, or maybe it was like 16, 17, and noticed the difference in how I felt playing those 2 years and how I felt more confident and just kind of, instead of being so nervous to be there, feeling like I was a part of the team and could make a contribution to the team.
And then what was your biggest motivation tool to keep pushing yourself to get better?
I guess just being competitive. No matter what I'm doing, I want to win, whether it's a card game or playing hockey. So yeah, just being, not only just being better to better myself, but also, like I said before, to better your teammates. And when you're getting better, you're challenging your teammates, your team's going to be better.
So are you competitive with your off-ice training too then, Emily?
Yeah, a little bit. We all wear our My Zones, and we've got a Peloton, and you can compete against your friends. So yeah, I don't like to lose.
That's awesome. I heard some of the national
Yeah.
team players were doing a step challenge too with their.
Yeah,
with
I'm
their
not a part of
watches.
the step challenge. It's too hot outside to go
That's
to
fair.
walk around
Peloton
here.
sounds
Yeah.
like a better idea in Florida.
Yeah, for sure.
And then Lauren asked, what were your goals to get where you are now?
So I think I remember when I was in 6th grade, I actually saw the national team play for the first time live. It was in Rochester, New York, in one of their tours. And I think that's what really, like, that's the first time I saw female hockey players and had people to look up to. I mean, I always watched the NHL and all that, but I think that really sparked a dream, and always wanted to play for the national team and play in the Olympics.
That's great. Did you ever, so once you got that big goal of going to the Olympics, do you ever make small goals or goal set along the way for some of the smaller stuff to accomplish?
Yeah, definitely. I think whether it was making a team or getting better at some sort of skill, even with, I mean, school-wise, just getting the best grades you can get. And I always wanted to make sure I had the best grades. So what school I wanted to go to, I could make sure I could get into it. And just things like that, just always setting little goals and achieving them, or trying to achieve them. And if you don't achieve them, what can you do differently to achieve those?
We have a great question that just came in is some players struggle with what to do after they have a bad shift or make a mistake on the ice. Any advice that you could add to on that?
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, the change of channel is my go-to. I like to, I mean, every player is different. So there's some girls on our team that are very serious and they like to listen to their music before the game. And I'm kind of the opposite, where I like to just, have fun, enjoy the moment. So everyone's different. And I feel like you learn that what works for someone might not work for you, and that's okay. And so one thing, like after a shift, I don't know, I just, sometimes I apologize to my D partner, maybe a little too much, but I'm like, oh, I'm sorry about that. That was my bad. But you know what? You have to prove yourself the next shift, and you can't dwell on it the whole game.
That bounce back is so important, right? Because you got to go
definitely
have another shift. And
yeah.
And I love that you mentioned your D partner, right? Because a lot of players are going to have line mates and D partners, and that teammate piece, your D partner might handle that. They might not change the channel as quickly or have a different method, but knowing what your teammates are up to is really helpful too.
Yeah, definitely.
And then Noah asked, how did you know what the right opportunities were? I know that you had kind of mentioned that your brother had already gone to BC, but I'm sure that there were other factors that came into whether you should play at Nichols, play somewhere else, other colleges calling you. How did you kind of navigate what was right for you?
Yeah, I think college-wise, I visited a couple schools, and I went in with an open mind at every place that I went. And I think you kind of, it. I don't know. I just felt like I knew when I was at BC, I was like, I see myself fitting in with this team, and the school was awesome, and the coaches were great, and just loved everything about the city and all of that. I mean, I guess sometimes you don't know if it's right, but if you just go in it and you go and you jump into it, and with everything you have, you usually things work out.
And then we'll take this as the last question. Where did you feel like you got the most exposure when you were playing at the youth level?
So growing up, I feel like when hockey season was over, my parents they're like, okay, put your stuff in the basement. Time to get out, do something different. So I played softball and golf and lacrosse, and we went to our family cottage every summer, and it just made me itch to get back on the ice in the fall. So I think I never really was burnt out. So I think not only doing, like, it's great to go to camps and all that, but I really believe like it's so important to play other sports, and you learn so many skills from those other sports that translate to hockey. So I never really went to camps, but I always went to the national camps, and I felt like those were great. I mean, some of my teammates, I was on teams at 15 years old with them, and we're still friends, and it's pretty crazy how that all works out.
I'm glad you mentioned the multi-sport piece. I mean, it's a huge part of being athletic, and that ability to, find different movements, get away from the rink for a little bit is really helpful with all of that. I know Heather could talk about physical literacy and all of that. That's so important for ours. But because we're just about out of time, thank you, everybody. I'm going to pass it back to Bob Gillen to close us off. Thank you so much, Emily, for being on with us. It's a great opportunity for all of these players to hear from you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, Kristen, Heather, Shelby, and Emily. That was great, and I hope that everyone on this webinar, whether you're a player, a coach, a hockey administrator, or even a parent, can take some things from this past hour and incorporate it into your role, whatever that is in hockey or even your daily life. I think there's some good information that we can even use in our lives after sports. I want to remind everyone that the 2021 hockey season is starting, and we're hopeful that we will have a full season. And if you have not done so, USA Hockey registration is live and open. So if you have not done so, you can go to usahockey.com and get registered for the season and get that out of the way. And that's up and running. And then also make sure you stay up to date with your local state health department and your state and local hockey associations. And we're one of the few of the four states that have not been hit hard with COVID, and hopefully that will stay. But we'll see what happens this fall. But right now, we're hopeful that we're going to have as a district some form of hockey in full here in Northern Plains. So just kind of stay up to date on what your local state and your local communities will be doing as far as getting back to the rinks and getting your season started. Also, we have a few district events coming up. I just want to plug real quick our goalie development program through Steve Thompson and the USA Hockey GDC program. They're going to be doing a goaltending and shooting camp August 7th through the 9th in Dickinson, North Dakota. And that information is on the Northern Plains website, which is npdistrict.com. And if you go on there, it's got the registration and the camp information, costs, all that sort of stuff. But those are for goalies and shooters. They'll be doing off ice, classroom, and on ice as part of that. And that's a great start for the season if you are a goaltender. And then if you want to get some practice shooting and want to go there to shoot at the various stations and also get some experience from some of the coaches there that'll be working with the shooters as well as the goaltenders, I advise you to get on. There's going to be, I think, 40 goaltenders and up to 20 shooters that they'll be taking for that particular weekend. But that is a Northern Plains District sponsored event through the district, and also in collaboration with USA Hockey and their goaltending program. And then also I'll be setting out the information for the annual Girls Fall Jamboree, which we have every fall. This year will be October 23rd through the 25th in Dickinson, North Dakota. And that's usually our Tier 1 and Tier 2 teams meet in Dickinson, but we also can have put together teams. We have 19U, 16U, and 14U levels, and a lot of those teams that are going to nationals use that to get 4 or 5 games on the weekend to go towards their 14 and 10 requirement. But also we'd like to have any girls that want to be a part of that from the 4 states. We can also put large teams together. That's just a good way for us to kick off the season as a district and kind of get everyone together. And that's been about our 6th year doing that in Dickinson. It's been really successful and a lot of fun. So that'll be coming out in August to the 4 state directors, and they'll get that passed along to their various groups and get their teams formed. And then lastly, I want to thank everyone who was on this webinar tonight and really appreciate you taking the time to sit in and listen to our panel. And we hope you have a good rest of your summer. We want you to stay safe, and hopefully we'll be back to some sort of hockey here upcoming real soon. So again, with that, Kristen, thank you to you, both you and Heather. I think this is great. I watched the one you did in the Central District as well, so I kind of knew what you're going to be covering. I think this is great information, and please stay active. Do like they said. You just don't wait for the ice rink. There's a lot you can do off the ice, and a lot of things you can do to up your game, and plus your physical and your health habits to make you that better player. And we hope to see you at the rink soon. And as soon as we get information on our various camps and clinics and those sort of things, we'll be sure to get those on the website and also passed out to our state director. So with that, have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you very soon, everyone. Thank you.